What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well on this hangover Sunday. Little bit of a hangover Sunday, I guess, but obviously I don't think we're hurting too much after yesterday's preseason loss. And there's plenty of stuff we got to talk about from that game, but before we start diving into some of that, because I definitely want to say a little bit more about Kenny McIntosh this week. Probably want to say a little bit more about Derek Hall as well, just off the top of my head. But before we get into that stuff, which will be probably later in the week as we get into like the weekdays here, I want to talk about Connor Williams a little bit here because obviously he has nothing to do with the game yesterday because he didn't play. But something happened yesterday. We actually got contract details with Connor Williams. We got the actual details of his deal. And I'll tell you, we did a really good job here. I don't know how we pulled this off. I don't know how this works exactly. I don't know why he ended up settling for this, but this seems to be far beneath what a player of Connor Williams' caliber should be able to get, even on a 1-year prove it coming off a big injury deal. So, Over the Cap has the latest contract details, at least what we do know. There is some stuff that is still a little bit, we're a little unsure about, but let's take a look at what we have here, because what we have here is ultimately what we really care about. So, you guys might remember that when the contract was initially reported by Schefter and the others, it was 1 year, $6 million, which made a decent amount of sense to me. That lined up with expectations and assumptions and projections, given the fact that he was coming off a major injury. So 1 year, $6 million. And then we learned not too long after that some of that money is going to be incentive based or escalator based, or however they wanted to put it, which I was like, okay, that's nice. But I'm assuming that a good chunk of those incentives are going to be tied into the cap number, and then we'll adjust later if he doesn't hit them. Well, if you take a look at the contract that we have here from OTC, it looks like pretty much all the incentives are assumed to not be hit until proven otherwise, which surprises me. So, according to OTC, over the cap number for Connor Williams in 2024 for the Seahawks, 3.28 million. Not even 3.3 million. 1.3% of the cap. So, yeah, that's about as good as it gets. I want to remind everybody this is a very good player. He's played a lot of football over the last 4 years at a high level at 2 different positions, and we got him for 1 year, $3.28 million against the cap. Now, there's one other interesting wrinkle here. So if you look at the contract notes, you can see that Connor Williams signed a 1 year, $4 million contract with the Seahawks, is what they say here. Not $6 million. Not 6. I don't see 6 million anywhere on this page, actually. I see 4 million. I see salary cap charge of 3.28 million. So that implies that the remainder between those two numbers, which would be 720,000, is the incentives. And that difference between 4 million and 6 million, I don't know if that's here. Maybe it's not being accounted for because it's something that is like you have to play all 17 games or something, and they're not assuming he's going to hit that. But usually when it comes to these contracts, they report the entire incentive base as part of the contract because they know it could be in there. As long as the incentive is something that can physically be reached, like if it's literally possible, even if it's a 1 in a million chance, they list it as part of the contract because it could happen. So the implication here is not 1 year, 6 million. The implication is 1 year, 4 million. And in order to earn about 20% of that, he's going to actually have to earn it by playing, maybe playing well. We don't know exactly what the incentives are. It doesn't really matter that much. I would assume they would be things like games played and maybe the Pro Bowl, because those are two things that did not happen last year, right? Like he didn't play 10 games. So if the incentive marker is must start at least 10 games in 2024, he wouldn't have that on his cap hit yet because he didn't do that last year. He didn't make the Pro Bowl last year. So if it was like that, it wouldn't be on his cap hit. But nevertheless, like it looks like we got out of this even cheaper than I thought. We got 2 million extra dollars laying around now compared to expectations. Great news. Excellent news. So maybe there's some little contract wrinkle here that I'm not picking up on, but it sure looks like we've done very well for ourselves with this contract. So if there's any, burgeoning contract experts out there that can explain where that $2 million went, maybe it was just misreported, maybe people made a mistake, maybe Connor Williams decided to change his mind at the last second and decided he didn't want more money. I don't know why, but I guess it's at least feasible. So, yeah, not only did we get a really good player for a very cheap rate, but we also have him in a situation where the injury is no longer as big of a concern just because he needs to play to earn some of the money. And look, obviously, don't take that the wrong way. We want him out there. If he gets hurt, it's devastating because it makes the team worse. But it's a situation where if he does get hurt, we can say, hey, we basically didn't take a risk because the money was so low. This isn't a situation where you had to give him 10 million a year and you're just crossing your fingers and you're hoping and praying that he stays upright. And if he gets hurt, you're devastated because now you don't have enough money to replace him and you're just putting all this money into a player who isn't playing for you. That's not the case here at all. If he does get hurt, it's, you can't even really call it a risk at that point. 3.28 million for a player this good, he can earn that money at the level he's played at over the last 4 years. He will be worth that $3.28 million cap hit. He'll be worth the $4 million cap hit in like 5 games. Absolutely. All right, so definitely going to file this under good news. And according to some of the data I've seen out there, the Seahawks are currently sitting at about 8.3 million under the cap, which means they can put together the practice squad and have a trade/injury buffer going into the season of about 5 million. So that's pretty good. That's better than average. Most teams want like 3 in the old days. Well, not old days, but in recent years, the Seahawks have been a team that likes to have a little bit more room than most, like maybe 4 or 5 million. Well, if things hold, it's going to be right around that 5 million number. Or you could go do something else right now. And I don't know what it would be, but you could theoretically afford to make a little bit of a move here. Nothing springs to mind, but hey, John Schneider gets paid millions of dollars to figure these things out. Maybe he'll figure something out. Certainly on the table. All right, guys, so great news here. Let me know what you guys think down below. Connor Williams is playing for a very, very low rate in 2024. 3.28 million against the cap. Could be up to 4 million is the implication here if he hits incentives. I don't see 6 million anywhere on this page, so it seems like we did very well. All right, probably another video later today, but if not, I will see you guys on Twitch tonight or tomorrow with further videos. We got plenty to talk about, and season's almost here.